You know, sometimes you come across a story in the Bible that just stops you in your tracks. Today, we're diving into one of those, a story about a king facing an army twice the size of his own. But this is about so much more than war. It's this incredible lesson on faith and where true victory really comes from.
Okay, so let's set the stage. Just look at these numbers. On one side, you've got King Abijah of Judah with 400,000 soldiers, and on the other side, King Jeroboam of Israel with a staggering 800,000 men. We're talking 2-to-1 odds. This is by any definition an impossible fight.
So you've got to ask, right? With odds like these, how on earth could the smaller army possibly pull off a win? If this were just about military power, well, the story would be over before it started. But this battle, it hinges on something else entirely.
Now, before a single sword is drawn, King Abijah does something pretty bold. He actually climbs up a mountain and gives a speech that completely reframes the whole situation. He turns it from a battle of force into a battle of faith.
He kicks things off by reminding everybody about God's covenant of salt with King David's family. This was a promise that was meant to be permanent, totally unbreakable. So Abijah is basically saying, hey, my authority comes directly from God's forever promise. He's putting Jeroboam on the spot, asking, and where does your authority come from?
And then he just lays it all out, drawing this super clear line in the sand between the two kingdoms. On one side, you've got Judah. They're still being faithful, worshiping the one true God, following his laws. But on the other side, he points out all of Israel's unfaithfulness, their golden calves, how they kicked out the real priests. They had forsaken him.
All of this builds to his final, powerful warning. He basically tells them, look, you're not just getting ready to fight us, the army of Judah. You are preparing to fight against God himself. And he makes it crystal clear. That is a battle you are destined to lose.
So you'd think that speech would have an effect, right? But nope. Jeroboam responds with military tactics, not words. The battle is on, and it's about to take a really dangerous turn. This is where we get to the climax of the story.
So, get this. While Abijah was giving that powerful speech, Jeroboam was already making a move. He was setting a trap, secretly sending his troops to circle all the way around, to ambush Judah from behind. Suddenly, Abijah's army is completely surrounded. Enemies in front, enemies in back.
Okay, so this is it. The moment of truth. They're outnumbered, they're surrounded, there's literally nowhere to run. Their faith is being put to the absolute test. But instead of panicking, what do? They cry out to the Lord. The priests blast the trumpets, and the soldiers just let out this massive battle cry.
And right here, this is the heart of the whole story. The Bible is so clear about why Judah won. It wasn't their strength, it wasn't some brilliant strategy. It says they were victorious because they relied on the Lord. That complete, unwavering reliance, that was the key that unlocked God's power.
And the result? It was an absolute disaster for Israel's massive army. As Judah's battle cry rings out, God steps in, and Israel's forces are completely routed. We're talking 500,000 casualties, 500,000 of Jeroboam's men. This wasn't just a victory, it was a straight-up miracle.
What an incredible story from the Bible. But the big question is, so what? What does it have to do with us, right here, right now? Well, the source material we're looking at pulls out two really powerful, timeless lessons from this that are just as real for us today.
So lesson 1 is pretty straightforward but huge. God's help isn't based on how strong we are. It's tied to our faithfulness. When life feels completely overwhelming, with our jobs, our relationships, whatever we're struggling with, it's our commitment to him that makes all the difference.
Okay, so what does that actually look like day to day? Well, when you're staring down one of those impossible situations, instead of just freaking out, the first move is to cry out to God. It means staying faithful to his word and just holding on to that promise that trusting him is never a waste of time.
All right, lesson 2 takes this a little deeper. See, it's one thing to say you believe in God. It's another thing entirely to actively rely on him. Judah's faith wasn't just some idea they had. It was an action. It was a complete surrender. And that's where true victory is found, when we finally stop trying to fight our own battles and just hand them over to God.
And living this out means our trust isn't just words, you can see it in what we do. It shows up in our choices, our actions. It means we're praising God even when we have no idea how things are going to turn out. And maybe most importantly, it means we depend on him every single day, not just when we're in a crisis.
So, as we wrap up this incredible story and these lessons, it all boils down to one simple but really profound idea.
It's this: rely on God, He gives the victory, period.
And that leaves us with something to think about. We all face battles that just feel overwhelming, right? So the question is, what would change? What overwhelming battle in your own life could be totally transformed if you stopped fighting it alone and started relying on a strength that's so much greater than your own?